Hello, hello, and welcome to this episode of the Rich Revolutionaries podcast. Today, I have on another very special guest whose podcast I've been on, I think, two times now and
Yeah.
spoken inside your Table of Icons
Yeah.
Telegram community. And I'm like, wait a minute, you need to come on my podcast. Like, come talk to my people now. So, without further ado, I'm introducing the one and only iconic Queen Hannah Elsie. Would
Thank
you
you.
please
Thank
do us the
you.
honor of introducing yourself, who you are, and what you do, your magic in the world?
Of course. Oh, Shanice, I'm so happy to be here. Yeah, and I had to laugh when you said when you asked me to be on the podcast, I was like, oh my gosh, it's such a natural progression. And how did we forget this, right? It was so
Right?
great. So yeah, so I'm really glad that we are getting to have this conversation as well. Because I've loved having you in my spaces as well. So much fun. Yes, I am Hannah Elsie, and I am the founder of the Iconicity Movement. It's a funny little word that I created about creating our iconic lives. So I also, my podcast is the Iconic Life Podcast, and I have the Table of Icons Telegram channel and other like iconic wealth series and things like that that we do. But it's all centered around I support and help I would say high achieving women, a few men, but mainly women, get really clear on who they are and what they want out of this life and how to build it intentionally and build these beautiful lives that they're iconic lives, right? Which is different for every person, but these beautiful, iconic lives that they are wildly in love with and just creating masterpieces with this beautiful every day that we have to be here on this earth. So I love it.
Mhm. Mhm. I love it too.
And
And
I
I
guess
know.
I just realized multidimensional because like we were just talking about that. I am also a wife and a mama of seven and a midwife in my day job, right? But essentially I laugh when I talk about like what I do business wise and what I do job wise. It's the same thing. I am midwifing women
Mhm.
and men, mainly women, right? I am with women in their portals of transformation, and that is what I do. And it's such an honor.
hmm Mm. Oh my gosh, there's so much for us to dive into. And I just want to highlight that word with, and you really do stand with women and some
Yeah.
men and
I
around
just
the
keep throwing that in there.
table. Yeah, in this like circular model where there isn't this hierarchy, there is wisdom weaving and there's presence.
Mm.
And the way that you define icon is unique from what we might hear in the mainstream. I know it's an acronym for you. So, do you want to share what that is for the listeners?
Yeah, and yes, because I think a lot of people hear icon, they think of like, oh, like a movie star, like or a pop star, like Marilyn Monroe, whatever. And that's not exactly what it is. 'Cause it's not about just being flashy and whatever. This is about like iconic icon to me. It's like a state of being an example, a state of vulnerability. Like, and I have termed it. Yes, I made it into an acronym. So for me, icon stands for four different pillars that I work. That's the foundations of my work and what I take women through, and that is identity, our calling, creating overflow or abundance, right? And then network is the last one, which stands for community because, it was an N, not a C. So, but network is our community in all the ways, right? Because I am such a champion of other women and men who are doing amazing things. There's so much work to be done, and there is like my foundation I come from, there is more than enough. There is so much abundance out there.
Mm,
And so there's no such thing as competition in my spaces. There is only
mm,
collaboration and championing one another because there is so much abundance of resources and there is such a need for the work that we each are called to do. And our calling are all unique to us, right?
mhm,
So the people who are called to your voice, Janice, are your people, and the people who are called to my voice are my people. Right? And like, there's no competition. It's just,
mhm,
can we shine light on all the people doing all the amazing things? Because there is, again, so much work that needs to be done. And all we need to do is just start cheering each other on and championing each other on. Like, I have no time or space for competition or thinking, living in scarcity of anything. So, like, it's such a beautiful thing that we get to do that.
It is. It is. And I want to get into a bit more of how you became the woman that we see before us today with all of these multi-dimensional passions and roles and projects that you pour into. But I'm just so excited to share about what we were talking about right before we hit record that I want to do that first and then get into the backstory. So, as we're talking about this iconicity movement and the icon method, in Hannah's Telegram space, the Table of Icons, I've had the pleasure of taking the stage for a week there. And
So
she walked me through her process. And it was one of the most in-depth and comprehensive frameworks and experiences while being so beautifully spacious and fluid that I've ever been through. So, shout out to that space. If you're not in it already, you can go check it out. We'll have it linked below. It is free to listen. And then there is a pay to play for the week taking the stage. And in that, we scripted my iconic Freedom Compass, which
yeah.
is this beautiful, like, it's kind of like a mind movie, I would say, to describe it, of a day in my iconic life of like when all the work is
Mhm.
done and we're in it, we're rooted. What does life look like? How do you wake up? What are you doing? How are you feeling? And in through that experience at the time, I was in, holy was I ever in the void of the reverse spiral. I had just exited mastermind space that we were both in. I had thought that I got the opportunity of a lifetime to go with my partner to work at this beautiful eco retreat center on the Caribbean coast of Mexico. We got ghosted by them on the way there. We'd already given up our apartment and there was a big family blowout. It's like everything was crumbling all around me. I was like, you know what? I'm going to speak at the table of icons because I want to. And in scripting that, in a moment where it didn't make logical sense, now, like latest news that I just revealed with Hannah is that an
So
eco
excited.
residential retreat center reached out to my partner where we are currently living to collaborate on the farm to table food forest project and the restaurant, which he's going to get to pour into his dream of earning a Michelin green star for sustainability cuisine. And it's like I couldn't have I couldn't have put the pieces together myself, you know? I had to give some space to allow that reality to recalibrate and not be so like holding on, yeah, holding
Yeah.
on to it so tightly. And
Yeah.
the specific details of what we scripted, and I drew like a picture to I think it was like the day before we went into the Table of Icons week of what the blueprint of this land would look like. And the number of residences to guest spots. There's like exact number that I drew out. So I wanted to share that as a testimonial of like the
I love it.
power of your work.
Oh my gosh, it's giving me chills, all the goosebumps, like, oh my gosh, yeah. And like you literally told me this before, and I'm still getting chills again as I like hearing it. Like the power of that. It is so we get to co-create the life that we are dreaming of and desire. Like I wholeheartedly believe that we have divine dreams placed within us, and it is our calling to bring those forth. Whew. And we are limitless when we're walking in that. And to see that with you, like it gets me a little emotional and gives me all the chills and all the good feels, right?
Mhm.
Um, and like I shared with you, because I just came off of this experience, this iconic activation experience, that I call it. It's beautiful, like 15-day kind of sprint with these amazing women. And in it, I had so many breakthroughs. And it's funny because I created it for somebody else, but like this beautiful
Mhm.
progression of I no longer call myself activating the future version of me. It is
Mhm.
me now. This is me, right? My iconic self is in the present. I am the wealthy woman. I am the iconic woman creating my iconic life that I am deeply grateful for and so wildly in love with.
Mhm.
And then encompasses all the beauty of the challenges too, right? It's not like every day is hunky dory, like, right? Like you said, you had to let go and allow things to recalibrate and restructure in a way that was so much more perfect than you could even have imagined.
Mhm.
And I have seen that happen over and over and over again in my life, 100%. In other women's life, so powerful. We don't have to hang on with by our, by the skin of our teeth, all our digging our nails, and like we get to relax into this. And that is such
Mm.
a powerful reframing of what I was raised with and what I had done, like the journey they had to walk to get to this point, right? To learn. And, it's we learn, we grow every day. And it's such creating a masterpiece. And it's so amazing. So grateful to be alive every day.
Mm. I really feel that from you. Hmm. And celebrating you and everything that has come into fruition in your iconic life. And I want to take it back now. So, you've mentioned some parts of walking yourself through a process. Like it's not all hunky-dory. Like there have
Mm.
been some void, crumble moments in your experience. And I know your stories because we've gotten
Yeah.
to know each other
Yeah.
through, I don't know, like probably almost a year now, ish, more or
Yeah, I think
less.
so. Yeah, maybe even a
Uh-huh.
little bit over that year. But yeah, about a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Crazy.
I know, but it feels like I've known you though for a lot. Like it doesn't feel like, oh, just a year of my life. No, no, no.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I
absolutely. Uh-huh.
know.
Uh, I want to share with the listeners the potency of some of your rebirth stories as well. And one that is always very poignant, if you're willing to talk about it today, is the story of when you became a widow and you have many children. And
Yes.
I can imagine that that was really like there was no roadmap for you to follow. And so, what did it
Mm.
look like day after day to put the pieces together, allow the pieces to fall into place? And if you want to give us like a
Yeah.
snapshot of that point in your life.
Oof. Yeah, that so many things. I just, yeah, I was widowed at 32 years old on family vacation. I can still see it like we're just standing in the mountains of Tennessee. Like the sun is shining. It was in July, so it was really hot and like it was a beautiful summer day. We were on vacation with the
Mhm.
family, and I'm standing there, and my life as I knew it shattered around me, right? I lost my husband of 11 years and father of our five children. Yes, we had five children. And at that time, they were 8 months to 9 years old, so they were babies, right? And I'm standing there holding my 8 month old in one arm and my 4 year old in the other arm, who had just a stranger had handed her to me because my husband had saved her from drowning, the 4 year old, and had pushed her. His last act was to push her to someone on the shore, and then he disappeared under the water, and he did not make it out. So in that moment, I distinctly remember just standing there again. It's like the sun is blazing. I'm holding 8 month old and my 4 year old who is crying, and in the other arm, there's people running around, voices shouting, and I'm standing there in this creek in the mountains of Tennessee, and we're desperately searching for my husband, right? But I'm a medical person, right? So like there's one half of my brain who is counting down the times with finality, right? And like that part of me, I kind of hate that part of me sometimes because it's like,
Mhm.
no, I don't want to know that it's been like there's no way he can hold his breath that long. This kind of thing. That side of my brain is going. And then the other part of me is a wife and a woman who is losing the love of her life and my partner and the father of my children. And what? This is not my life.
Mhm.
And like so surreal because this is not my life. This is not how this goes. Like we fix things. We don't, this devastation doesn't happen, right?
Mhm.
And I just remember standing there and I so clearly had a moment with God in that space. And he asked me very clearly, he's like, do you accept only good from me and not the hardship as well?
Mhm.
And it was a very sacred space in the midst of all of this going on. But for me, it was like a portal opened up and I had a choice to make. My choice was I could turn towards God or I could turn away from God and I could figure out what I wanted to do here. But this new pathway was on it, opening up before me. And what was I going to do with it? And I remember I made the choice right then and there. I was like, no, I will accept this and I will choose to praise you still and I will dive in. And this is not going to define me and my children.
Mhm.
We are going to choose to thrive despite what is happening here. I don't know how, but we're going to choose to thrive. And that was actually our motto even before that, because you go through things in life, whatever, and all the things. But this was obviously the hardest thing I've ever gone through. And so I just remember I grabbed onto that family motto that we had, which was choose to thrive. And that became my kind of war cry slash motto, right? Because
Mhm.
I can't describe to you what it feels like. I can't. There's no way to describe what it is to lose your partner like that and to walk five children through losing their father. That is a daily process even to this day
Mhm.
because he's still not there, right? And they still need a dad in their life, but they don't have a dad in life. So every new, graduation, new lifestyle. Like my oldest just got a job and got accepted to his master's program today. And I'm going to go celebrate with him after this. And his dad would be so proud of him. His dad is so proud of him, but he's not
Mhm.
here to do that, right? So that's a constant, like, I've learned to, I call it walking with both grief and joy at the same time and how they're intertwined. I didn't know that that was a possibility before walking on this journey.
Mhm.
Because if you had said to me about losing my husband at 32 years old, I would have said there was nothing good that could come of it, right? Like, what? That's tragedy, devastation. And yes, it was and it is. But it built something so profoundly deep and beautiful in our life and in my life and my relationship with God and my kids and their characters. And like, I don't know that I would choose to be widowed. I still can't say that I would say I would go back. If you gave me a choice, would I still go back and change it? Probably. But I
Mhm.
also, I also, I would not give up the exquisite beauty of the relationship I have with God and my identity that got crystallized walking through that
Mhm.
fire. Like there is a certainty to me and my life and my calling and who I am. And I don't like, don't know that I could have gotten any other place than walking through this fire. And like fire refines and purifies. And that's what I feel like that I was, and I didn't walk through it. I was carried through it. Let me be very honest. This is not of my own doing. Like I very much know that God just carried me through that. And so that was, every day choosing that. And yeah, I did have five kids who, I had to keep moving. I couldn't just fall apart. Though, and honestly, I guess you could have fallen apart, but I chose not to, right? I kind of go back and forth
Mhm.
because people are like, oh, no, 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 it doesn't matter. Like my choice was we are going to choose to thrive.
Mhm.
We were not going to allow this to define us. It was not going to define my kids. And I poured myself into that work day after day, did the things we do the hard. That's why it's like that was another phrase I came up with. Like, we do the hard. Like I may
Mhm.
not love this, but I'm not going to pull away from it and hide my face. Like I'm going to walk into it because I had discovered that the only way through is through.
Mhm.
And as you go through these things, like something beautiful can be birth, and it's just dropping in now because again, I'm a midwife, right? And it is
Mhm.
such a beautiful and powerful picture of what life is. When I am with a woman in labor and she is laboring and it is hard and it's arduous and she feels like I can't do this anymore. It
Mhm.
hurts, it's too hard. This is too much for me to do. And it feels like that. And there's actually very like it's unique to labor, especially if you don't have like an epidural. I can tell by how the woman is talking to me, how she's behaving, how far along she is in labor.
Yeah.
Because you get to that point of like, I can't do this anymore. But if you have someone who can call you through a woman's voice or whatever, and for me as a midwife, I get to do that. I get to be that, hold that space for the woman as she is going through this portal transformation and tell like, you can do this. And here I am next to you. And I'm going to witness you through this because I can't do the work for her, right?
Mhm.
But I am with her as she is journeying through this. And the only way through is through. And then what does she get on the other side of that? The prize of her life is in her
Mhm.
arms. This new life that she so desired, created with her partner in love and all the things. And like this new being is now here earthside. And it is the most sacred space. And the fact that I get to do that as a job is so humbling, right? Because I like every birth is a sacred spot. And like I don't have words to describe and articulate how incredibly potent and beautiful that space is. But she
Mhm.
goes through the hard, she does the work, and then has this beautiful outcome on the other side of it. And that's kind of what I in life. Like I know that I have to go in and do the hard and that God will create something beautiful. And it's my iconic masterpiece of life that is being woven, this tapestry of life, right? And that's what we all
Mhm.
get to do. And that's what I get to do with women and walk them through as they are creating their iconic lives. We dive deep into our identity and our calling, creating overflow in all the ways. relationships, spiritually, emotionally, financially, right? All the things. And then doing it in community. So, in networking, collaborating with people, being witnessed and being seen, because that is something we need to do, linking arms with women alongside of us, and we're all working together for our iconic lives. And it's the most powerful, powerful space.
Hmm. That threshold moment is such a potent one. It's like where capacity is built, whether it be in this like tragic loss or through giving life. It's that ebb and flow, the expansion contraction of creation itself. And that moment from like, I can't do this to becoming the person that can, that's like that moment where you go from laboring to delivery. And it reminded me of what you were talking about at, both before we started recording and then you mentioned it again, like you're no longer creating your iconic life, you are living it,
Yes.
right? You've crossed that threshold. You're rooted in
Yeah.
that new
Identity,
identity. Yeah,
that knowledge.
exactly.
Yeah.
From like
100%.
pregnant with a dream, pregnant with a baby to being the mother, to being the iconic
Being it.
woman.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whew.
yeah. Hmm.
Yes.
Thank
It's
you.
so powerful. It's so powerful.
Mm.
Oh, what a joy. Yeah.
What a joy to witness you sharing this too. I love listening
Oh,
to you anytime I can. And I want to hear more. Let's keep going. Like, what are some of the other avenues? We've talked about your iconicity movement. We talked about your work as a midwife, a little bit about motherhood. I want to hear more about the wealth architecture that you are stewarding, that you are really pioneering. It's this, quite like that moment of transition that we just spoke to, where we're at that threshold collectively with how we are interfacing with wealth, economics, and banking. And so I'd love to hear your unique
yeah.
perspective on that realm.
Yeah. And it's funny because it sounds maybe like a little bit of an offshoot, but it's not because it is part of the overflow aspect of my icon method, right?
Mm,
Which is creating overflow in all the ways, but also financially, because finances are needed to make the things happen, right? It is the way that we transact to bring about impact. And I am here with a big calling and I have a big impact that I'm here to affect, and I need resources to do that. So, how do I create those things in order to bring about the impact and change that I believe I'm created to bring about? And for
mm,
many of the women in my space, it's the same thing. And again, there's different avenues or different levels of, right? Like
mm,
maybe for my one dear friend, like she just wants to have a beautiful space for her family and like be able to like give a little bit extra to some like her parents and things like that.
mm,
Beautiful. Then we're gonna build that, right?
mhm,
So I started looking into, I mean, I've been looking into like ways of like investing and making money for many, many years, but I was not um my family of origin is not a wealthy family, right? And that was always like, that's not for people like us, right? And I had to
mm,
work through a lot of like limiting beliefs and things like that. And it's so interesting because even as a child, I knew something was different. I knew that I was going to be doing something different. And I honestly, I don't know why or how I understood those
mhm,
things, but I knew that I was called
mhm,
for something bigger. And I had to walk through, again, getting through these limiting beliefs, identifying them, looking at them, see, is it actually true? And like repurposing those and like reframing those things and accepting the fact that I knew I was created for something bigger. Because again, working through some old like societal things and stuff like that, that, like, oh, that was
mhm,
not for me as a biracial woman from this part of the country, these kind of things. Okay.
mhm,
So, like I said, we are limitless when we're walking in our calling, and I 100% believe that. And so I knew I was called for something a lot bigger, and I actually had to go through a pretty big crumble in order to acknowledge that because
mhm,
I think it was offered to me many times, but then I like went through it like complete, like literally got to the point of like 1 month, like it wasn't even a month, it was like 2 weeks away from losing my home, right? Like
mhm,
that's how bad I fell down. And it happened in like a year and a half. And it was so mind-boggling to me that that could happen because I had up until that point never had any like what? Like how could it so quickly? But again, I had to get really, really clear and honest about a lot of things. And so I have realized and I've decided like that. was so that I can turn around and teach these things to other women who come to my spaces because I
Mm-hmm.
have an understanding of what it is like to go through something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because not just like, oh, I worked hard and did all the right things on my life, so I got to myself to a comfortable position. I did that, and then I lost it all through no fault of my own. Does that make sense,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Because I was like, well, if I did everything right, then therefore, right, which is such a silly
Right.
misnomer of a belief.
Uh-huh.
So that was really powerful. But anyway, so it led me into looking into different ways of creating wealth and not just from a place of hustle, 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 or let me get a second or a third job, right? Because I was doing the working 6 or 7 days a week, two jobs, long hours at the hospital and the clinic, all of the, right? Burning
Mm-hmm.
myself to the bone and a resentment was building.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided that was not for me. And so long story short, but like I literally, and I say this, and my kids kind of laugh at me, but I'm like I co-created this beautiful position job that I have now. I let go of the other one that was draining the life out of me. Um, and my goal now is to move myself. I will be retiring myself from medicine completely and most likely, hopefully this year or at the or latest next year is my desire and my goal. So yes, exactly. I'm so excited. But it's because I've been called to do this bigger work. And I've known that. Like I've known that for some years. And I think I've shared with you like my line in the sand moment for propelling me into doing this is when I lost my baby sister a few years ago to her battle with depression.
Mm-hmm.
And that was so I mean, it was a gut punch for so many things, but it was a line in the sand for me. Like I can still go back to that moment because I had known, I had heard the voice. I knew that I was supposed to be doing something bigger. I was supposed to be impacting women in a different, bigger scope than what I was doing at the clinic, running
Mm-hmm.
from room to room, for 10, maybe 5 minute visit, right? Like depending on, how busy it was. And though I
Mm-hmm.
did do a lot of work there and a lot and affected a lot of change, it was not enough and it was not in alignment with who I was and my calling to do. And I knew I was supposed to be doing something different. But I kept pushing it off for a better time, whatever, right?
Until it became undeniable.
Until it became undeniable. And that for me was receiving the phone call that my baby sister had lost her battle with depression while I was at work between seeing patients.
Mm-hmm.
And it was such, these moments, they reshape us, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
allow them, it reshapes us and you can use it for good. And that is what I decided. Because that devastation is something that I can't, like, that still gets me, oof, because I miss her every day. I miss I miss other ones I've lost every day, but like that loss is there's a different pain to it.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I saw the eyes of my sister Sarah, that was her name, is her name. And I saw her eyes and so many of the women across from me as I ran from room to room, these women who were not seen and did not feel valued for whatever reasons, right? And,
Mm-hmm.
I would have women come into my office for their annual, right? It's like once a year I'm seeing them, this kind of thing, whatever. And as I'm going through it, I would stop and I would look them in the eye and ask them, how are you doing? And so many times, time after time, women, they would just break down and start sobbing in the
Yeah.
office with me. And I'm like, whoa, because no one had ever asked them that.
Mm-hmm.
These are successful, high-powered women who are having families and running businesses and all these things. And like, no one asked them,
Mm-hmm.
how are they doing? And that would like just this waterfall, like this dam would burst and like, oh my gosh. And I had a list of patients I had to see. I had 5 minutes and like I would connect with them, but like I knew this was not like I needed bigger spaces where
Yeah.
I can walk with women as they are
Mm-hmm.
going through these things. And so losing Sarah, that was kind of the line in the sand. Like, what are you going to do here? You've been called to this. You know this, Hannah. And like, what are you going to do? And so that's when I launched my business and started. And, that's a whole new journey to become an entrepreneur. So it's been,
Mm-hmm.
we're now on
Talk about
year,
rebirth.
talk about a rebirth, right? Yeah. I guess this is my third year. So 2.5 years. And just like nurturing and curating and finding out like, how do I do these things? Right. Because these dreams and visions that I have in me, how do I birth them out in a way that is a beautiful, easy to access path for the women who are called to my voice and a few men, but the one who are called to my voice.
I love the way
Um,
you say that.
I had to say it because like I do have a few men that I work with. I was like, oh my gosh. And I think I kind of rabbit trailed off of the money part of it, the iconic wealth, because that is a big part of it. I need money in order to create the spaces that I am
Mhm.
building out so that I can bless the women who aren't able to pay sometimes or pay all of it, right? So I want to be able to subsidize these things or
Mm.
um like whoever I'm called to impact, how do I do that? Or like, and I create these, like I had a beautiful retreat last fall and it was just the most
Tell us
exquisite
more. Tell us more.
experience, right? Like luxury and like are on the t side of a mountain, felt like we're in a little snow globe because it snowed even though it wasn't supposed to. We wake up and there's like beautiful like mountains, the sun shining, and it's just like you feel like you're inside of a snow globe. And it was just like, oh, and we
Oh,
had every
wow.
little bit curated. We had the fire crackling, the delicious farm to table food, and like all
Mm.
of the things were taken care of
Mhm.
for the women that were brought to that space. And they
Mhm.
were, it was healing, right? And it was nourishing. We called it rest and renew because that's what we need. As a lot of women, we give, 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 give. And so I need resources to make these beautiful spaces, right?
Mhm.
So anyway, um, I started looking into different ways of doing that. And so for me, a lot of that is this new financial infrastructure, which I have different avenues, but one of, there's a lot of different things I'm a part of, but like infrastructure building is a big thing that I'm a part of, which is like geobanking and refi. We talked about that. And I am here for talking about iconic wealth building all the time because Web3, which is the new kind of commerce that's coming in, is a way that you and I can take a little bit of money and make a lot out of it, right? And I had this kind of like tongue-in-cheek kind of thing that I did a couple months ago called Not About the Apples, because it was just like, oh,
Oh, yeah.
this kind of works like this. Like I have a bag of apples at my house, and my good friend stops by to chat, whatever. But this is my best friend who is like an award-winning like apple pie maker, whatever, Food Network kind of champion, right? And she's like,
Mhm.
"Oh my gosh, can I borrow that bag of apples? 'Cause I don't have time to go to the store, but if I could grab that bag of apples from you, because I had to make this pie that's going to win the blue ribbon, and I know that, right? Um, I'm like, okay, sure, you can have that. And she's like, oh, and I'll bring back 5 bags of apples at the end of the week. That is amazing in and of itself, right? Because I get 1 bag of apples turned into 5 bags of apples. Cool. But then that friend also says, hey, I'm also, because you did that for me, I'm also going to give you a part of the winnings from the
Mm.
apple pie that I, put into the championship. So it's like $100,000. I'm going to give you 10,000 of that. Mind blowing, right? Just because you gave your 1 bag of apples, that is Web3 right there, right?
I
I
love
take
the way you
my
explain
little bit of
that.
money and I give it to those who are in the stuff, doing the things, know how to do these things, because you always want to vet your people. It's always who you're behind, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, and they turn that little bit of money into massive return and give you a part of the winnings of like the company itself. That is what I'm interested in and working in, because that is the way, that is the brilliant way of creating wealth, right?
Mhm.
I'm not going to go out and create, um, like in the old days, like a steel factory or whatever. Like that's not my thing. I don't know that,
Yeah.
but I can vet something and put my money into that and let them take it and build it and grow it and let it just multiply. And then I
Mm.
get to spread that multiplication throughout, like it gets to ripple out into my communities. So anyway, very exciting. Very, very exciting.
That is very exciting. And the way that you explained it there just like lands in a way that's digestible for people. I think a lot of banking, like whether it be like DO banking, we what was the other word? Sorry, we fi?
We is the
What?
company that, yeah, but deal
Okay.
banking, yeah, all the
Yeah,
things.
that or even just traditional banking, a lot of these like terms and the infrastructure of that world isn't something that like the day-to-day person is grasping and digesting. And so it goes into this compartment of like, oh, that's overwhelming.
Like
Like I don't know what that is. Like,
exactly. Like, okay.
I'm not going to pay attention to it. So I
Right.
love that you're bridging that divide for people
Yeah.
while using those resources to create things like beautiful retreats. And I love too that you um, have those opportunities for subsidies with people that can benefit from it that may not have the resources yet. And
Yes. Yeah.
being in those spaces that are expansive, that are luxurious, that are restful, and with women who are at a point in their journey that do have the resources to fully like invest in that makes such a world of difference.
Yeah.
It opens this like third door in our nervous system, our neuro pathways, our perception of what's possible for us just by being in the room without having to um, necessarily like pay the gatekeeper. And
It's who you're around. It's being who you're around. Like you just said, it's perception. It changes our perception of what is possible. When you're around
mhm.
other humans, I'm going to say humans, who are doing things that you didn't even know was possible or that maybe you dreamt was possible, right? And then it's like, oh, it normalizes it for you. Like, oh, wait, if they can do it. And they're just like me. They eat food, they blow their nose, all the things. Oh, okay. I can do that too, right? Like it's such an uplifting experience and upward movement kind of a thing. It gets the momentum going. And that's so powerful. Like it will change your life. Like in-person things change your life. And then, consistent community changes your life as well.
That's one of the things I love so much about podcasting too, because it allows that peek into like opening a new door, opening a new pathway, hearing a new perspective.
Yeah.
And I feel like I get as much from these conversations as the other person does, as the community does. And it honors that full
Yes.
cycle of reciprocity. And that's how I want
So
to
great.
architect my life and my business by honoring all parts of me, the community, and the collective. And that's the foundation, along with genuine connection and soul resonance, that I'm building businesses on, like New Earth business. That's what it means to me.
Love it.
And
Rich
I'm
revolutionaries. I love it.
Yes, yes, yeah. And for those who don't know, the rich revolutionary archetype is rich in unconditional love, rich in vibrational truth, and rich in authentic power. And
Mm.
so also flipping the script on what rich gets to mean, right? Because a lot of times we have an image of, the private jets and the mansions and the penthouse suites
Mhm.
and the luxury cars and all the things. And if that's your thing, great. But my
Right.
version of rich more so is having a food forest and stewarding land and building community in an eco-conscious way and um, getting to also be part of women's birth journeys with birthing centers and all of those pieces of really, when it comes down to it, it's rebuilding the village. Okay.
Yeah.
We,
Barefoot, slow mornings with little children running around,
yeah.
laughter, creating yummy foods. Like I remember that from your North Star.
Uh-huh.
And yes, I was like, ooh, I can just feel like the warm air from the ocean coming. Like, oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the power of community, right? Like my vision doesn't only exist within my mind and body through our relationship, through this podcast, through all the relationships that I cultivate. That vision becomes more and more tangible and things like people
Yeah.
reaching out to my partner of like the exact thing that I've been envisioning get to
So
happen
crazy. I
because
love it.
you're right. I love it too. I'd love to work in that way of like cultivating these non-linear, multidimensional pathways for consciousness to materialize into form. And we're starting to wrap up here, and I want to give you an opportunity to share a little bit about a client journey and kind of like bring us through that A to B transformation of like how they came to you, what they wanted to work on, and then like where they are either now or at the end of your work together.
Hmm. Okay. Like, who are we gonna choose and walk through?
Right?
And it's such a whole, I have a very holistic approach to things. So like there are women who are going through hardships right now, like really tragic things and like relationships or like health things, whatever. And then there's also women who are like, oh, I'm working on up leveling and creating like my business and things like that and like stepping into that identity. And so all from different starting points, right? And
Mhm.
there's also women who are just like, hey, I am on the path, I'm doing the things, but I know I'm here for more. And I know that keeping myself in that space is so key to doing it, right? Like I talked about
Mhm.
like my iconic activation that we just finished, and then my iconic 365, which I'm launching actually this weekend. But like that is it's daily activations. I love to create these like beautiful like little activations because I need it. I do it for myself, right? And I see powerful, powerful responses. And like we did an experience last October, and the women in that space, like literally all of the things that we wrote down as intentions at the beginning of the month came true. Like like $20,000 worth of income in 1 month. It was like relationship things, like surprising like relationship things, like didn't even expect it. There was health benefits. There are like so many different things. And I'm here for the miracles. Like I can't even, it's hard for me to define like that A to B transformation because it is
No, you
literally,
did
I always say like it's just
it.
midwifing the woman through their portals of transformation, whatever that is. I've
Mhm.
also walked women through different career levels, right? So like going through like clinicals or like residencies, things like that, and like seeing them birth from like my little baby doctors to my full grown ones, right? But it's like, how do I get to support them and walk with them through these things? And that is just
Mhm.
so powerful.
Yeah,
I can go on and on. Like it just, it's yeah, it's so unique to each individual, and I love it.
absolutely. Yeah. I think when we think of like A to B transformation, the way it's taught in a lot of business contexts is like this very linear path. And what we know about transformation and growth is that it's non-linear.
It's not,
And so the
right?
way you shared that is perfect, right? You braided all of these different points of perspective through the transformation portal, and like here are the other points that you might come out of. You don't know what's exactly is going to happen right in these journeys. That's part of the excitement and the risk that we are undertaking when we choose to say yes to ourselves and our calling. And so I just wanted to reiterate that that was a perfect response, even though we're not here for perfection.
But it works. It's the quantum aspect of it, which
Yeah.
my dad was all into quantum physics. And it's so interesting because I've heard a
Ooh,
lot about it kind of bubbling up in like the industry. I hear
yeah.
a lot about it. But my dad, as a child, I remember him talking about this, right?
Oh my gosh. Every
But
time I hear
like,
about your dad, he sounds like such an epic human.
he was. We lost him in 2021, but he was an incredible man. But he loved quantum physics. And I just remember that like he was a self-taught man because he didn't get to go to college and do the things. He was a black man in from the inner city, single parent, like all the things, but he did not fall into that. mm, like he didn't end up being a gangbanger on the streets, right? Like it's all
Mhm.
like he should have, according to the books or the
Mhm.
paperwork, but that was not what he chose. So like such a tremendous man. But he loved quantum physics. And so I grew up hearing about these things and like, oh, okay, whatever. And now I start diving back more into it. And I just like I every time I'm just like, oh, I wish my dad was still here because we would just be
Yeah.
like geeking out on this whole thing. Right.
Uh,
But like
what a gift
when
to grow up around that.
oh, so much. You realize in hindsight sometimes the beauty,
Hmm.
the absolute treasure that you had. And that is the
Hmm.
truth. So I try to like soak up the treasure that I have in every day now because, right?
Yeah.
But what we focus on, right? It's about that whole like when you I'm not tr I want the complete field of possibilities. So I am open to what comes through. I'm not collapsing it down to there's only this one thing that I'm going for, right? I am open to
Mhm.
things rapidly escalating in our favor. And that's what we get to do in these walks. And that's why I'm like, oh yeah, it just lights me up. I love it.
Mm. Mm. I love quantum physics as well. And I'm also like self-taught in that realm. And I love that your father is an example of we don't actually need to rely on the systems and structures that exist, like post-secondary education, to radically
To
transform
learn.
our life. Like,
Exactly.
especially now with like AI and the internet in its current stage, like we have a wealth of
We have
information and
access
knowledge
to
at our
everything.
fingertips that
Yes.
we can access and synthesize and mold and transform with in our favor in nonlinear, miraculous ways.
Yeah.
Yes. So, as we wrap up, I again want to give the floor back to you to let people know where they can connect with you and maybe extend an invitation to anything that you have on offer or that's coming up in the near future.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And you can find me on Instagram is my big one. And I am on
Mhm.
Facebook too, but more on Instagram. But it's at
Yeah,
Hannah Elsie
we have
underscore
that linked too. So.
AWC. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, that you can find, and I'll give it to you so you can put in the show notes too, so they can find me on there.
I already
But
have
oh, there you go. Send
it.
me a DM. I'm always open to chatting, to voice noting back and forth. And like, I have my one-on-one spaces and I have my beautiful iconic 365 offer test that I'm like launching this weekend. So whenever this comes out, it'll probably be out, but I'll have that link in my, pages and whatnot so you can find it. But that is a daily, it's 365 days, right? So it's every day a little activation to keep our iconic self forefront. because I don't know about you,
Mhm.
but for me, like I go through these beautiful transformation in person or even like containers that I'll go through. Like I just did a 3 week process, right? And then real life starts to creep back in,
Mhm.
and you find yourself
We're
kind of
doing
like a couple of
that.
weeks later, a couple months later, like, oh, wait, that's right. Oh gosh. And it like we don't want that anymore. We are here
Mhm.
to remain in our iconic selves and to keep up leveling, not to just fall back into the old of it. So
Yeah.
that is why I created Iconic 365 because it is a daily short little soundbite, a little training or a little activation, and sometimes a
Mhm.
visualization, like a meditation or something like that. But it's every day keeping that focus there. It's such a simple thing, but it's those simple
Mhm.
things that end
Mhm.
up creating massive change, right?
The
Like we
compound
know this, like
effect.
yeah, exactly. So like it's so exciting to me because it's some I have created many of these like month-long sprints or things like that. I was like, wait a second, this is something I need every single day.
Mhm.
And I could make like a whole year of it. So that's what we're doing. And then we have like a quarterly live where we get together and we can like kind of like mini mastermind together about different things we're doing, kind of group coaching with that. And a Telegram channel. So kind of like the table of
Mhm.
icons, but it's kind of the same kind of thing where we can drop in with our celebrations and our struggles and our being seen and being witnessed. Because that's the other
Mhm.
part of it. We need to link arms. We're
Yes.
building community. This is not just like, oh, I'm gonna check off another like thing for me to do or another like program that or a course that I buy. No, no, no. This is about building community, being allowing yourself to be seen
Mhm.
and to see other women, right? And to do and like let's keep going forward together. So
Yes. What I'm hearing in that is like anchoring and expanding.
yes,
Yes.
that's it.
And to close us off, first of all, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for showing up with your whole heart, pouring into the space, your presence, your energy, your stories, your wisdom, all of it. I appreciate you so, so, so much. And do you have any like one way to anchor and expand or one action piece to leave the listeners off with for today before I let you go?
This is what's dropping in. There's a lot of different things I do or recommend to do or suggest or whatever, but like start your morning off. I just want to challenge you, the listener, you Chenisse, me myself, I do it actually every day, but like in the morning, when you get up and go to the bathroom, you open your eyes up and you stumble to the bathroom, go ahead and, do your business, but then stop at the mirror before you go anywhere else, before you pick up that phone, whatever, and just spend like 30 seconds. It doesn't have to be in a full minute, 30 seconds of gazing at the absolute wonder that is you
Hmm.
and finding gratitude for that,
Hmm.
loving that human in front of you, that body that has carried you for however many years of your life, right? Who has done so many things for you in all its beautiful imperfection. And just anchoring into that every day and that gratitude for that, loving yourself for 30 seconds,
Hmm.
and then go on and start your day. But that little simple practice, it changed something profound for me.
Hmm.
Um, and a lot of women who do this, they share the same thing with me. It is profound. Because specifically as women, I think it is something that we need to cultivate and curate in our lives and in our practices. So, because all the voices in all the world coming at us in all the different ways. So start
Hmm.
your day with love and gratitude for yourself physically, and then all the
Hmm.
other parts as well. But like physically, like look at yourself and just love that person for just 30 seconds and just try doing that for like 7 days and see what happens.
I love it.
And I'd love
Yes,
to
mirror
hear.
work
So
is so
let me know.
important. Definitely will. Thank you for that. And again, thank you again for being here. And I will let you go. And until next time.